Rolling.
Hi, this is Erickson with Talk Freedom, and to my left is Jim, and we have Emily, Brigham, and Kevin, and we will be talking for about an hour about current events and whatever comes to mind, I suppose. I have a couple questions for Kevin, and very happy to have you on. You're a celebrity. I've seen you on what's that show, that guy in Florida that has been interviewed.
Michael Jaco, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Jaco.
Intuitive Warrior. Yeah, we've been fortunate enough to actually be on several shows, and it's nice to put Vermont on the map, and we are on the map now. I've always said we're a hub, and I think we're actually going to be one of the first states to go, if you will. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
What do you mean by go?
Go as in the flip, the turnover. Again, if you want to go right to the top, I think the top tier is gone. The Joes and Phil Scotts and Fauci's and those guys aren't. The one thing I'm good at is television productions, and that's not Joe on TV. I think that top tier is gone. I think the next tier, which is the governor level, that's been gone for a while too. I kind of confirmed that 6 months ago. I spent 6 or 7 hours in Montpelier looking for a single official, and basically learned all those buildings, the lights are on, but nobody's home. Most of them have been closed since March of 2020, actually. So, and again, we confirmed, I think it was the weekend before last. Now, the days are blending together, but I finally found Governor Phil Scott, and it was interesting to know that the major crimes unit was providing security for Governor Scott. And I suppose they're protecting him to a degree too, but no one in the major crimes unit has ever drawn a security detail. They don't do security, they do major crimes. And what that tells me is they essentially have our governor locked down tighter than me on social media. And again, I've been naming names, judges and senators for about 5 years now, and it's all coming together. The RICO investigations, we still got the Hunter Biden laptop and the Anthony Weiner laptop and all the election stuff and Epstein, and that's all coming around too. But like, they locked us down with elections. We provided a lot of information and evidence here in Vermont state. They kind of ignored it. In fact, I got 2 documents. We can review them if you want to, but they prove that no one ever looked, right? The Secretary of State, this is a letter from James Condos. It's in his words, right, on his letterhead with his signature on the bottom. And basically, he doesn't have jurisdiction or authority to ever do anything. So the media is going with him. But remember the story in Vermont Digger, where he checked himself, and there's no worries and there's no fraud. Essentially, this letter proves he can't, even if he wanted to. And why would we want him to? We wouldn't want him to check himself. And always go back to the Board of Civil Authority. So the next document, and again, this is 2 documents. This is meeting minutes from the Bennington Board of Civil Authority. That's who the responsibility, liability, all those illity, scary words, it always falls back on them. And essentially, they were perturbed that the citizens were even questioning it, but they never looked because the secretary did, and then they closed the case. So nobody ever looked. And again, this goes back to 2018. When we can
nobody ever looked at what?
At the results.
Any of our fraud. And again, back in 2018, we gave them essentially, we could prove 60 to 70% fraud, trace it back to at least 1975, and we released over 500 names. That was the A's and the B's, half the B's, in a county of 5,500 people. So it's absolutely massive, and no one ever looked at any of it. And it's fraud on every level. They've been doing this for a long time, and internal affairs is always them.
Okay, let's hold right here and say,
sure.
That's why I said my dog. Oh, stop, because he runs away.
That's okay.
Kevin is running for governor. Let's tell everybody, Kevin is a gubernatorial candidate, an independent in Vermont. And
even though they won't give me a press release.
They won't even give him a press release.
Rigged from the start, absolutely.
Yep. And could you really slow down and itemize the voter fraud? I mean, I've seen it as a gubernatorial candidate. Remember the marijuana candidate?
Right.
Chris
Well, we
Erickson,
can, I was
she
gonna say,
had she
go
had
ahead.
double the amount of votes. She showed me when
Right.
I started running, and they cut it in half and didn't give an explanation because they didn't want people to know this was way back
Right.
in 2000. So can you itemize exactly a little bit more specifically for people?
It's so easy and they count on us not looking. The basic math. Again, in 2018, I ran for Vermont House of Representatives. That's a November election, and that time I didn't even know we voted in March. That's how political I was, right? So again, I got involved with that, and I don't know anything about politics, but I look at history, and basically I needed 600 votes to win. I got 609. The closest Democrat got 1,400. And the other Democrat got 2,000, the most in the history of the Vermont House, on what was supposed to be a record low year. Likewise, when I went out to get my signatures, everybody's got to get signatures to play in this foolish game. Basically, I needed 50. I got 206. But out of the 206, only 48 of them were registered. So what happens to that 98% registered that the same state gives us? And what it comes back to, you guys won't be able to read it, but it comes back to Dominion. It always went back to
Yes.
Dominion, the electronic sheet. And essentially, Vermont doesn't even handle our own elections. Our Secretary of State never even touches a ballot. It's all run out of LHS management system out of Salem, New Hampshire, right? And we know what happened with New Hampshire and the problems they had. This is a foreign-owned company, and I'll get you one guess on what country, right? It's China, and they're a subsidiary of Dominion. The problem is Congress has already passed laws. You can't even subpoena anybody from Dominion, right? We had the Secretary of State, Will Senning, actually perjure himself 3 times on the stand during the Brian Judd case out of Barry, but we're not prosecutors, so you can't charge the prosecutor or the witnesses with, perjury. We don't have that authority. Neither can the judge. Only the state can. So essentially, we couldn't make, as far as fraud goes, we took a participation list, and this is an old school audit. We went through 5,500 names and addresses. Is it a real name? Is it a real address? Do they match? Right. And like I said, what we found was astonishing. So we took our participation list and just started adding different columns for fraud. I think we were up to 8 or 9 different columns and then a big thing for notes. But I mean, you got people who voted and, they were tossed. It didn't count. Myself was included. That's how it started. I had a ballot, picture of me passing the ballots. First time I ever ran for office, but then I wasn't on the state participation list, right? So we got people who voted and didn't count. We got people who didn't vote, but someone else did for them. We got dead people. We got fake names. We got fake addresses. We got changed middle initials. Any possible way that you can think of, there it is, right? But again, it's always them that has to check themselves. So the long and short of that whole basis, though, is it didn't go anywhere.
Mhm.
Our elected officials didn't want to look at election fraud. Go figure, right?
Mhm.
So again, and even if we could make them look at it, like Mike Lindell did a hell of a job, they throw 5,000 lawyers on it, and here we are years later, and nothing happens. It's locked down. So we had to find a different way. So what we've been doing, and again, this is an 11-year investigation that I know of, maybe even longer, is RICO. And I think a Gotti, right, or any of the big mob guys. We didn't get them for the drugs. We didn't get them for the murders. We got them for tax evasion and racketeering. And that's what RICO is. It's a federal investigation, multi-state actually, but it's done on a local level because they're going after, everybody. Again, at the local level, this is the federal mafia. It's all connected, even globally for that matter. But of course, they own the clerks. So we got all this document on either one. And again, the racketeering is our society of shell companies. So when I say shell companies, this is for embezzlement, money laundering, tax evasion, obstruction. There's a bunch of stuff. This is all documented too. And you can't see it, so I'll put my glasses on for you if I can find them. And I'll even read the number so you guys can take this down. This is an EIN number. And anybody who's familiar with business knows what that is. It's a federal identification number. The personal, it's like a fingerprint. You can't have the same EIN. No possible way, especially if the different agencies or organizations are in different tax brackets, right? So EIN number 0307784, and I'm giving that for anybody who happens across this video. That is the Bennington County Child Care Association here in Bennington. And it's also a match for Judge Colvin's nonprofit, the Mount Anthony Preservation Society. So we've got a problem right off the top, and not just the Child Care Association. That one's particularly important because it has what the FBI calls a pedophile symbol in their logo. And if you follow the money, we've got a lot deeper, darker connections there. But other examples of shell companies would be the Vermont Sheriff's Association, right? Has the same EIN as our judge's nonprofit, or the Vermont Christmas Tree Association, or the Bennington Regional Alcoholics Anonymous Association. Again, that's Turning Point. Alcoholics Anonymous, great program. It's a shell company. Now, what I mean by shell company is if I want to pay off Judge Colvin, I can't just give him $50,000 because that's obvious, but I can sure make a $50,000 donation, to his nonprofit. So that's kind of where it started, is with the shell
that makes
companies.
sense. So what do you know about sessions? Because Jim and I and a couple of other people, we were plaintiffs in this COVID case, including Rico and everything. And
Right.
then it came, he entertained it for about a year. And in the end, he dismissed it for sovereign immunity, even though we had named the governor personally and so forth. He really didn't have a right to do it. Yeah,
I can tell you, I didn't even go through it with you. I don't mean to interrupt you, Emily, but I can tell you the process. First of all, they told you that you didn't have standing. Then they probably told you that you're in the wrong court, right? And then they, like, how many hoops you got to jump through, and then eventually you get to the sovereign immunity clause, which isn't even right. They're not immune from criminal prosecution.
That's right. Isn't it Article 7?
And again, God bless you for trying, but what you have to understand is you're fighting a corrupt system within a corrupt system.
Right.
Now, my videos, for people who watch, you see me go to, the police station or stand in front of the select board or the courts or all these places. And when I do that, it's literally for you guys, those videos. I'm not going there expecting answers. I'm not expecting action. They're the bad guys, including our judicial system, and fighting a corrupt system within the corrupt system, right? I'm there to expose it. In fact, a number of different reasons. We're exposing the corruption. We're putting the judicial on notice as well. We're costing them money because they have to defend themselves. We're pushing them into hiding. And then the most important part is we're giving other Vermonters a chance to stand. We're giving them permission, because this was the scary part, right? They're going to take your business or your liquor license or lock you up, or everybody's always afraid. And I wish everybody could feel that liberation. When you finally get brave enough to stand, you see them run, especially if you have these evidence. Again, every person watching this, every citizen in Vermont state has a sheriff. There's documents that I have on my social media that show the Vermont Sheriff's Association is a shell company. Go test your sheriff, right? I put up it's funny, I went to Burlington Free Press today. Again, I go to the media. Again, they're implicated too, right? And the same, there's nobody there. There's nobody ever there. COVID has had such a hard effect on our government and our media and the schools and all these certain places, right? We're watching this fall. We're up to, I think the guy that answered, you guys can watch a video. I think he's a federal agent, the guy that I talked to today at Burlington Free Press. Or we'll go to Vermont Digger, and no one's ever there. Last time somebody talked to me through the door, they wouldn't even open up the door. We can connect so many things with the media, and the media is hiding. And that's the problem, is we need the TV and the media to tell us normally. And that's so foolish. They're not going to tell us. They can't tell us about their felony crimes. They're trying to cover it up. Even when they have to, they twist it. You just saw the Addison sheriff, right, got arrested. They gave you a real spin on that. They didn't mention the human trafficking or the embezzlement or any of that. They made it sound like a domestic thing. My sheriff's been missing for 3 years down here. I just named all 14 sheriffs in my court paperwork, a month and a half ago, 2 months, when I had to flee my house. So that's again, this is real and happening. I'm the reporting party. They turned in Chad Schmidt, the Bennington sheriff, and from there it went to Judge Colvin. Again, he's one of the senators and judges that own these nonprofits. And then again, the whole system was corrupt. So when we got to the Judicial Conduct Board, they were corrupt too. Well, again, we're taking these guys out. Again, I say we, not me, the feds, the Homeland Security, everybody that's involved, and I don't trust them guys either. I think all agencies were divided. There's two
Can you,
arresting agents.
can,
You want me to keep
Kevin,
going, or I was going to say I
can
got a
you,
lot of
can
stuff
you,
to say.
it's kind of hard to follow you.
Okay.
But I was wondering if you could tell us the story of your local sheriff and what you did to get him to expose him, and
Sure.
and how it turned out, what the story is with
It's
that.
pretty. There he is. That's Chad Schmidt. And that's where we got our nickname, the Sexting Sheriff. This was an article from Vermont Digger, who is Rob Wilmington and Digger are done. They're in a lot of trouble. But this was written by Alan Keyes, which is one of their more popular writers. And what this actually was is they were bribing the sheriff. They wrote a partial story. Look what we got on you. They all know each other's dirt. That's why nothing ever goes anywhere. And then they wanted $300,000 for him not to continue this story. Chad paid. So that's all we got out of Vermont Digger is that one thing, Sexting Sheriff. But it started with, well, I know about the Dropbox program. Again, you don't want your teenagers to get the pills. So you empty your medicine cabinet, you bring them to your pharmacy or your local police station. And then all that is collected and it goes to your sheriff's department where your sheriff puts it in their evidence locker and it stays there for 2 or 3 years until the DEA comes and collects it, but there's no logs in or out. So long story short, our sheriffs are selling that back on the street. We had a federal informant that was buying it from the sheriff. He was
Wow.
working with a
Wow.
human trafficker out of North Adams, Massachusetts. And that was the first tap. The feds had the wires tapped and they had basically all these calls coming from a number. It turned out to be the Bennington County Sheriff. Right. So that informant ends up dead on top of a rooftop in New York City. And again, they've got it on tape, allegedly. I haven't heard this part where they're basically thanking our sheriff for the information. And the reward was some drugs and a young lady at a local massage parlor. They got busted here in Bennington. It's so unbelievable. It's such a crazy story. But when they issued a BOLO, the feds were after Chad Schmidt for a long time. And again, it's a 9-year investigation back then. But essentially, they lost him. They thought he was going to go to Tennessee. They brought some property down there, and that's where I think he was planning on escaping to. And essentially, the feds lost him, so we could say whatever we wanted. They lost him for 6 weeks. So I did a video just saying there was a BOLO, a statewide issue law enforcement, be on the lookout for our sheriff and our high bailiff. And what the feds couldn't do in 6 weeks, it took the Green Mountain Boy Patriot Network about a half an hour. We found him hiding out at another officer's camp on Lake St. Catherine. And again, once the feds got him, they had him call the high bailiff, who then came over for a beer and they got them. And again, they were released after that for a long time because they were wired. But that's the charges on that BOLO were human trafficking, drug trafficking, murder, and obstruction. And Chad Schmidt is the treasurer for the Bennington County Sheriff's Association. So it's all 14 counties. It's everybody, guys. It's hard to believe. Same with the election fraud and the shell clippings.
So you're saying that like the entire sheriff, sorry, Brigham, you can go next, but
this is what I wanted you to
you're
say.
saying the entire sheriff network in Vermont is selling prescription drugs that are donated and trafficking children, or running a trafficking network for pedophiles.
Yes and no.
The like?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't want to lump all these guys into the same realm. I back the blue. I think that's very important. I'd actually give them more money because I believe in training and better equipment and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the top level, again, my police chief, Paul Doucette, doesn't have a badge, or he does sometimes, and it's because he's on restricted duty. We all new cops. Our police station is locked. A lot of people complain that's a public safety concern. We can't get in. But the important part, just like our governor, they can't get out. This is already happening. I'm watching these people. We're up to 43 incumbents this year alone that have resigned. They're not seeking future office. There's no future endeavors or plans. And we're talking about James Condos, the Secretary of State, or TJ Donovan, the Attorney General. You're welcome, is about all I can say. This is what's happening. Now TJ comes back, he's going to be a video game programmer for Roadblocks. Does that make sense to anybody here? The top lawyer in Vermont state, he's going to go, like, they're lying to you because they have to, but it's coming.
So you're working with what we call the white hats, and how did you get involved with,
Oh my God. I don't know. I wake up every day and say, how do I get here? I honestly, like most normal people, I mean, I spent my entire life running, not just avoiding religion and politics. And here I am in the middle. I think I finally got mad enough, right? It comes to fight or flight. When we get mad enough or scared enough, and historically, Vermonters don't make good runners. And I think that's as simple as it is. So I like my firearm freedoms, and I'm sick of watching my friends and neighbors suffer. I couldn't afford to live in the state that I love, so I ran. And I got my butt handed to me from a guy from Chicago that forced the election on it. And after that, it's just been, I guess when you start looking, it is a little addicting. It's unbelievable, but the more you look, every day I wake up and it's just more connections and more things. It's so deep. Again, the Child Advocacy Center, it's called Sunrise Daycare in Bennington. It's not only a shell company, has a pedophile symbol like I'm talking about, but they in 1986 they covered up sexual misconduct with children. That was my police chief in the town of Bennington lawyer, right? Now the lawyer, Rob Wilmington, ended up giving that job to his business partner, Merrill Bant, and Merrill Bant is pretty famous, and he's still our lawyer today. And then Rob went on to run Vermont Digger. That's one of the connections. Now our chief of police was Rick Gothier. Now the latest news is Rick is moving to Texas. We haven't seen Rick around in a while either. He's not moving to Texas, just like my sheriff's not moving to Tennessee, right? These guys are getting detained and they should have resigned and left and fled a long time ago. It's too late now. So he went on, he retired under scrutiny afterwards, but then he went on to run the Vermont Police Academy, which is where they start to do the recruitment and retention. I mean, we have 7 days. The executive from 7 days is literally sleeping with the enemy. Tim Ash, the Senate Majority Leader, ex now, they're married and they're a couple. There's nothing wrong with that, but I find it hard to believe that 7 days would, write anything bad about her husband. Or the same with, when John Gannon, who is the ethics chair, not only is he the ethics chair, but he's on the select board in Wilmington. And when they approve a $25,000 loan for the Deerfield Valley News, I feel like that makes him compromised. So I've tested, and there's no Republicans either. I want everybody to be clear on that. It's, most of us, I know a lot of great Democrats, people, you know what I mean? And they're not the problem. I think there is no right and left. It's just more dividers for us. People are people, and Vermonters are some of the best on earth. It's us against them is what it is. And, you mentioned I'm running for governor, but I don't want to govern anybody. I don't think you guys need me or Governor Scott or anybody to tell you what to do. You're Vermonters. I want to govern an out of control system, and it's a new system. Our government's gone, in case you guys haven't noticed yet. And I don't think it's ever coming back. The cool part is we get to make the new one in the future. And I don't know if we're going to, I see a whole new structure myself. I don't know if we're going to need governors or if we're going to have councils or a lot more, local control. And the last thing I want is a pedestal. I'm a pretty smart guy. I got great policies and ideas that I think can help out Vermont. But the big problem is them.
I know you explained that the government is gone, but can you explain it more exactly how it's gone? It's like the buildings are vacant, and and the people are not signing back up to be on the ballot. TJ Donovan, for instance, decided not.
Right. What's happening is they're being arrested, but it hasn't been disclosed yet for a number of reasons. And if you want my prediction, we're going to go through another fake election in August, and then it's going to explode. And I don't really think we're going to have elections in November. And I've been saying that for a long time. I think we're going to be in the middle of chaos. Now, I do believe we're going to have fair elections. What seats we're going to be voting on and all that is yet to be determined. You know, the blockchain system's already set up. I think that's coming, but I honestly don't know how that's going to happen, you know, by November. There's a lot of things. One thing I've learned in this journey is how much we don't know. Right? I know just enough to get myself in trouble. Like all these sealed indictments, I don't know all of the charges. I just know on an average year across the entire United States, we have between 1,000 and 1,200 sealed indictments. And in 2020, we had 260,000. Okay, now 216, it's been 6 or 8 months since I checked that number because it was growing, but 216 of them were coming to Vermont, 53 of them from my county, Bennington County. But even that's deceiving because each indictment can have up to 99 names on it. And this last tier, if you will, we're talking judicial, medical, education, our law enforcement, our sheriffs, it's literally the private sector as well. It's massive. And that's, I think, the only way is military, and that's what we're going to see. Television's not real. Like my mom used to tell us that, right? Like what we're seeing is complete propaganda and narration. It's state-owned and globalist controlled, Mockingbird media. I mean, all these, we've become the news, right? Just like we are becoming the schools. How many people are pulling their kids? And administrative is gone. Nobody's listening to Joe. Nobody's listening to Phil, right? And the money's coming. Like right now, we just passed the mile marker. Over half the world, 50%, is not involved with the Rothschild banking system right now. That's incredible. That's never happened. Some of the reasons for our high prices right now is the United States is being sanctioned. Right? We talk about sanctions for China and Russia and all these places, but we're being sanctioned, right? And 3/4 of the world doesn't have governments. There's some crazy stuff going on. I think Russia is a good guy. I think China is going to be a good guy. And a lot of people have a hard time with that, but we're talking about the Khazarian mafia. I think they're bombing the U.S. bio labs in Ukraine, and I think Hong Kong's next. The optics, if you will, are going to have Joe, you know, he's got us at war at Russia and China at the same time. And I think it's just optics, literally to wake people up. You know, how do you like $6 a gallon for gas? Or have you seen the education? And it's so over the top. As a guy with, you know, political aspirations, if I wanted your guns, and believe me, I do not, but if I did, I wouldn't tell you. I'd say sensible gun control down the middle, and I'd be backdooring and taking away every liberty you have like they do, right? They're actually telling you now, we're going to take your guns. We're going to hormone block your kids. Hey, guess what? When they come to school, you don't have any control. You got open borders and there's millions of refugees coming across. And how many are we bringing in here to Vermont? Look at the homeless population. Look at the housing issue that we have. Do you think those, you know, we brought 100 Afghan families, not people, into Bennington. We're talking about bringing in Ukraine. That's optics. That's waking people up, I think, to the reality of how corrupt these systems are, because it's up to us to stand up. We haven't even done anything yet. We haven't revolted. You know what I mean? We haven't even protested, really. You guys know, we tried to organize rallies and stuff, and it's just not our thing, I guess, in Vermont. I don't have an answer for that. That's what I was saying. Hats off to the women, because I spent years trying to network, and we're so splintered, and there's so many different issues at hand, and everybody's has got their own thing, and we're all headstrong, you know, independent Vermonters. So the men, I failed. I couldn't do it. But the women did it. The women are all networking. That Vermont Stands Up network that you mentioned is a great example, but they're all over. So when I'm saying the government fails, it's failing. I mean, look around, and here's an even better question. Of course, we need government, a little bit structure, right? But imagine the world without government. Imagine Vermont without government. And that's a legitimate question. Do you think the roads would get paved and plowed? You think your kids would still get educated, or we'd have food? Because I do, especially Vermonters. We're good at that. We're good at helping each other. And I'm watching that happen already. I'm seeing barter systems forming. We got teachers that didn't want to get the vax, so they left the schools. Now they're getting with 6 or 8 parents, and they're starting homeschools, or 6 or 8 parents are getting together and starting homeschool networks. I mean, we're already doing it if people slow down and look. The problem is the TV and the radio, and how you can't even pump gas. It's coming across the speakers, right? This programming and false narrative is all around us. But the evidence is here. I mean, a lot of people ask me, how do I do this? And how do I find stuff in my town? Or we've got enough evidence. We've all been, screwed by the state, the court, the hospital, the whatever. Everybody's got our own story. And if you're looking for more, I got 5 years worth on my social media. Grab it and use it. We got one document, one for the sheriff station. There it is. That challenges every sheriff. Test them. You know what I mean? Go to the media, stand up, ask. And the only thing I say now is when you do it on video for the rest of us, because it's almost entertaining. You watch them run. It's the only thing I'm doing different now. For 5 years, I found these incredible scandals and I gave them to my authorities who ignored me. And then I gave them to you guys, and no offense, you laughed at me because these are crazy tales, right? So this year, what I'm doing is I'm bringing these documents. They're solid documents. And you'll see me at the media. You'll see me with these officials. I'm at my select board going, you sit on the board for an illegal shell company. This is a felony. I just want to make sure you guys are all aware, right? And what that is I call them traps. For 5 years, I've been setting traps. All of our officials know. They all know about election fraud. They all know about the chemtrails. They all know about all these things because I've given it to them. So when the time comes and this trap snaps shut, they're not even going to be able to say they didn't know because we got that also. It's almost what's worse than the crime.
Hey, Kevin, maybe
Sure.
maybe you should take a break and let
Go ahead.
people say something.
I know I'm full of hot air. Go ahead.
Well, it's asking questions, right?
Yes.
I have a couple of questions.
I bet you do.
Jim hasn't asked anything. So.
One of my favorite questions that I can ask to both of you gentlemen is a simple case of breaking the law that you've mentioned that quite a bit, Kevin, that you have a lot of black and white evidence about our officials breaking the law. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, I was the head of Vermonters for Voting Integrity. So I was in the trenches for many years. And your guy you mentioned, Tim Ash, it turned out to be the big villain in that because his committee, I believe, got a 5-0 or 6-0 vote. And the GovOps committee got like a 5-1 vote to pass on one of our bills to the appropriations. And he wouldn't do it. Because I asked the head of the appropriations bill, where's the bill? And she said, well, Tim Ash never passed it on. So anyway, that's out of that. But anyway, the crime I want to refer to that Emily and Erickson are well aware of is the crime of coercion. It's written in the Vermont statutes, and the crime of intimidation is written up in Vermont statutes very clearly. And yet we have clear cases of intimidation from UVM, from schools across the state that forbade their students to re-enter unless they got a vaccination.
Right.
Now that is unquestionably intimidation and coercion, and it is against the law. Right. So if you have a judicial system that has any sense of honesty and integrity, and I don't even see why it takes guts. Why does it take guts to enforce the law? Why do you have to be a hero, and there aren't any, to just enforce the law? And again, coercion and intimidation are written very clearly in Vermont statutes, and we have a lot of cases of it. So I'm wondering if among all your other investigations into criminal behavior, here's one that's a slam dunk. And it seems to me, and I'd love to join your Green Mountain Boys, by the way, it seems to me there ought to be a way to go to the powers that be, put this down in front of them, shove it up their asses, and say, why don't you do something about this? I've got other questions, but this is the key.
The problem here, and again, you got to realize this, they control everything from the clerks to the appeals courts. So again, that shouldn't stop anybody. Right, I'm still in there, and what happens? I think I'm on my 8th, district attorney, state's attorney, TJ. It's Kevin the Deer Hunter, and I'm a pretty smart guy, right? I shouldn't know what interrogatory means, but I do. And here I am fighting the best legal minds in the state, and everybody watching this knows how it's probably going to end up. Emily found out too, right? But hats off for trying. Like we still have to try and stand up and do that, but
Yeah.
there's no relief in the judicial system. We're taking that down too. There's one of the biggest, I guess, Democrats in Vermont history is Ralph Wright. Ralph Wright was the longest Senate majority leader in Vermont history. He was the lead Democrat from the late 60s till 1994, pretty much when we went from red to blue. This guy is the top of the charts, right? Well, his granddaughter is a victim of my sheriff. So mad granddad outweighs hardcore lefty, and they had all the connections, and now we've made more connections and we've gone through with that. So they've Corrigan Wright is working with a woman named Susan Bassey. This is the victim, if you will, right? She's the one that started all this. She's working with Susan Bassey out of LA, and they found a program called JAMS, which is JAMS, and that's basically a judging hustle that all of our judges, we're talking all 50 states. So Judge Colvin, and I even got these documents right here somewhere. I'll probably never be able to find it in time. But Judge Colvin in Bennington or Judge Sontag is also Judge Sontag in Nevada. And right. And again, his day rate there is like $24,000. So if I'm a elite celebrity and I want a divorce, I can go to Judge Sontag in Nevada and hire him as a private judge. And we get a judge's signature, and it's all done on the down low, and there's no media. And we skip to the head of the line because the money. The problem with that is there's no such thing as a private judge, right? And they're not paying taxes, which is another great thing. None of these guys pay taxes. That's what the RICO's about. That's what all these shell fronts. I mean, if you want the quick lowdown, your local officials are just price inflating. Pick a town project, pick a state project. They're straight up stealing your money.
But
our law enforcement, and they're not molesting our kids. They're distributing the drugs. And when you get to the senator and judge level, it's a straight up land grab. But I hope I helped. Go ahead.
So like when they're finally putting in these home first for the veterans, like they refurbish these motels. There's one down in Brattleboro. It has 22 units, an old hotel, and they refurbished it, and it costs them $6 million. They did the same thing up in Montpelier with an 18 unit, $6 million. So you see, this is how they're money laundering. I wanted to ask a question, or at least bring up this topic. I know it's of interest to Brigham too and myself. The other night, there was all kinds of noises outside, and it was not on the road. It was on and it was like beeping and trucks and weird. There wasn't fire trucks. So it was 12:30 at night. I got in my car and I went down and I found out they were messing with the poles. And they had up and down, they were messing with the poles. And of course, I'm thinking of the make-ready pole attachments and the 5G rollout and all that stuff. So I started grilling them. And I ended up talking to the supervisor, who was very uncomfortable because I was filming. And he was saying how, we're just upgrading the lines. I think it was from 4,600 volts to 7,800 volts. Like, why do we need that much voltage? And I ended up becoming friends with them, telling them about 5G and, all these things. But maybe anybody here can explain why we need almost double the amount of voltage in our lines now.
Right, and that's another form of depopulation and keeping us sick. This is big pharma working with big tech and big media and big politics, and this is how it works, guys, right? Just like the stuff they're spraying, aluminum, barium, lithium, right? We know the effects of that stuff. That's why they have poison. I had to stop hunting ducks with my dad 35 years ago because they're heavy metals. As an adult male, I can eat one meal a month of our wild trout. If you're elderly or a kid or female, you can't have any, right? We got the honeybees dying. We got songbirds dying. There's two big things. They not only match aluminum poisoning, right? The songbirds got a white crust around their eye. I mean, it's literally word for word, but the radiation poisoning. And it's not just 5G. It's Wi-Fi in general. One of the scariest things I did, GK at the Disclosure Hub, and that's a great source for anybody watching. And he also owns VT Vault, Vermont Vault. .org. But if you go and look at, he bought me a meter, an EF, EMF, and an RF meter. And it's the scariest thing I've ever had in my life. Like, I don't even like turning it on because we are frying ourselves. Again, we're all sitting in front of computers. I got a phone sitting next to me. That's our smartphone, our smart meter, our smart TV, literally the radio waves coming in, all the green energy. I just had a chance to go across the United States. Whenever we go underneath a high tension line on the highway or road, it's like getting an x-ray. And I went for hundreds and hundreds of miles with the high tensions literally straddling the road. You know what I mean? I'm talking out west on the Great Plains. And again, all the wind turbines, the high RF, and that's the dangerous
solar
one.
panels. And the animals, the animals are
there.
dying under the lines. And
Right.
so
Right.
in China,
It's all connected. That makes people feel really small, though. I mean, I'm just Kevin. What am I going to do about chemtrails, right? What am I going to do about? But the answer is just, bring it up with your officials. That's what you're supposed to do. They all vote on how much of that, how many metric tons of that crap to spend us with. In fact, we just hijacked David Zuckerman's pig roast. He's having a free pig roast on the 24th of July. And I invite everybody here. If you're concerned about all of these crazy things, like our deer or our songbirds or bees or green energy, or you think the planet is changing the climate, it is, because they're engineering it. You should go talk to David Zuckerman. This is a great opportunity. It's on the Isham farm. And again, it's politically motivated. It's a great opportunity to go ask David. He's Mr. Green Energy, right? Their answer is always to restrict and tax us more. In fact,
Kevin,
that's the scary part. It's already passed.
Kevin, let me make you aware that Brigham is deep into the bee industry, and you can kind of share what your work is.
You can confirm it, right? The bees are dying. The maples are dying.
Sure. One person you might find interesting to talk to regarding the bees is Chaz Mraz of Middlebury, and that's an old name, and he can talk to you a great deal, filling you in about pesticides and what is going on with the bees. His heart is in the right place, and he's finding no solutions, especially with any of the elected officials. But I should also say, I think it'd be very important for you in the future. Hopefully you can get closer to being governor or at least an elected official, but you have to sort of add to your program of showing us how the people can do something other than just say, go to your officials. You have to have a plan for us all to work.
Sure.
Many of us are getting together all over the state, but there seems to be a lack of a plan. And I would suggest at the end of that, before you answer, is that it would be a plan that would not be on screen. So I would love to hear what you would have to say about the plan for us to really make some headway politically or life way.
Can I speak for a second? Because I've been working on freedom as a natural order and how we will remodel our educative, our judicial, our self-governance, and how our being of nature and time is art. There's like 6 areas. So if you're ever interested in talking about the work I've been doing to look what is freedom and how it will be organized and how we will do it, that's something I've put a great deal of work into.
Yeah, and it's funny because all we really have to do is try. And I'm going to follow that with words from Yoda, the master himself. There's no try in do. And you guys are doing it. Look at the conversations we're having and what we're doing. This is literally as easy as talking to your friends and neighbors, right? And the more comfortable you are, and it's only when you're ready. I've made the mistake of pushing people too. They can only hear this, I guess, when they're ready to a certain degree. But I mean, I'm running for office. I'm in CORE. I'm writing letters. I'm going to school board meetings, and that's what I'm doing. I don't know what you guys are doing. And that's the thing. We're like, well, if all this is true, Kevin, what are they waiting for? Well, what are you waiting for? It takes more than keyboard warrior stuff. If I had 1,000 Kevins, this would have already been over, right? And it's not even about the win. The stand is so much more important than the short-term win. And if anything, I hope I gave you guys a little hopium tonight. I mean, this stuff is happening, and I don't want to emphasize that too hard because I don't want people to relax. This is a fluid thing. We're at war, in case you haven't figured it out. We're in the middle of World War III, okay? And it's an information war, but you guys got to, when this is all said and over, nobody's going to be able to say that I didn't try. And the same for Emily. I mean, come on. All you guys, I'm sure.
Well,
right?
what I'm saying is when we want to get to freedom, we're not going to get there. And I'm talking about that as a replacement of communism, socialism, all the isms. Let's look
Yeah.
at, and we've never, ever, ever really in our history that we know of anyway, have really experienced freedom. It's the kind that we want, the kind of creativity. And when we
Yeah.
do that, we're gonna look at a monetary system that that's backed by our passion. So we're gonna create money to serve our passion, and
You're
we're
spot
not gonna
on.
have profiteering, but we're gonna have prosperity. I mean, it's gonna be beautiful. We just have to keep our eye on it. So I'm doing work to put up little video blips every day to kind of share what it will look like, or at least what it can look like, and then we can know what to look for. Because too often we're really focused on what's going on, these crazy things that are going on, where all the news. And we need to also put it in our heart what it will look like, what it will feel like when everybody can do exactly what they want to do every
It's
day.
distractions and that money. I mean, it's important to admit when we're wrong too. And I told everybody by the end of 2021 we were going to have new money. I was wrong, right? But man, I'm close. We're there. Like literally most of the world, not only half the world not on Rothschild banking system, but there's a lot of countries that aren't accepting American currency anymore.
Hmm.
People don't know that. This new Nasara Jasara, everybody watching this knows and heard stuff about that. That's already taking effect. Not only in Zimbabwe, but Africa in general and Europe are loaded with that. And when I said before, 3/4 of the world doesn't have a government. Pick a country. There's a million people rioting right now. There's
Yeah.
billions of us
Veronica.
worldwide. As Americans, we're kind of ignorant and we have a tendency of thinking inside the box.
Hmm.
This is so much bigger than Kevin Hoyt or Vermont or the United States or Trump or this is a global thing and it's for humanity. This is a giant thing. The world that we have coming, I don't even think we can really conceive of it
Hmm.
yet, right? But that's the cool part. And I think again, as far as suggestions for people watching, I think it's all about vibrations, and I'm going to go there. I think when you're scared, when you're confused, and all, you're filled with anger and spite and all these things, that's a low vibration. We want to rise above that, stay smiling. I mean, honestly, go outside and look around. It's a pretty nice day out there. Our world really hasn't changed too much unless you want something done by the government. They're collapsing, right? You're watching it all happening. So kind of
I
let
do want to
go.
I want
You know
to
what I mean?
put a pitch in for something that James Howard Kunstler has mentioned and done on his own, and that is that the great artists, great writers in particular, have imagined it. It was imagined in 1932 with Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. It was, 1932, think of that, with test tube babies and Soma, and how close are we getting to the humanity losing the very essence of humanity through artificial intelligence? So that was conceived of in 1932. James Howard Kunstler wrote a book, I think it was 2006, called A World Made by Hand, in which the people of a small town in New York who had the brains and the energy and the know-how to go back to the 19th century and rebuild their town.
Hmm.
And, there are good guys and bad guys. It's a novel. A lot of the things that have happened, that are beginning to happen now, were conceived of through fiction.
Hmm.
And some of that's movies, some of it's television, but the great works of literary fiction have already spelled this out for us. So for those of you who would
I
like
think a
a
lot of
good
that's
taste
real.
of it, yeah,
Yeah.
well, read Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, read World made by hand. Read This Perfect Day by Ira Levin, and you'll see how this was either planned or it was imagined by great artists, because either way, it's happening.
Well, I
And
mean,
agree with you.
Jim, what I'm talking about, yes, we're learning that everything that we manifest, what is when we're in our I am self, and if we can each work about making sure we invest our thinking time into what it will feel like to be free, to be totally free, and that's an important component of being an activist every day, other than dealing with everything. And I want to ask Kevin an idea to everybody. Over in China, there, we get some videos about people taking down the towers, the 5G towers. And at some point, are we going to need to be taking down these all this electricity and stuff, which is harming us?
I don't know yet. And I think it's because we never know, right? And Lisa Schuberhorn gave me a great example, and I love this, so I'm going to share it with you guys. Like, a farmer had a horse. He was one of the only guys in town that had a horse, and everybody said, this guy's great, he's lucky, he's got a horse. This horse ran away. I'm like, oh man, that's no good.
Yeah, right.
Bad luck, ran away. And then next thing, his horse comes back with 4 other horses. Boy, this guy's really lucky. And then his son, trying to break one of the wild horses, breaks his leg. He's bad luck again. Then the war comes, but because of the broken leg, he doesn't have to go to war. And I don't know yet. I almost think our 5G towers are going to be part of our new energy system, free energy system. And it's not just Nikola Tesla. I've been looking into this specifically. In fact, I'm heading to Greece and Egypt in October to try to do some more research. But I think we have tachyon energy, which is literally our positive thought forms moving faster than the speed of light. It's really interesting things. I've seen not only the transmitters, receivers, especially in European architecture. I've seen the battery storage, and it's always in these, not just stone, but special stone. Vermont's made of granite, right? All these things, these monument, the Bennington Battle Monument. The pyramids are said to be these giant amplifiers, and the basic, the generators of tachyon energy. And these are all new things that we weren't taught. So please don't just openly believe Kevin when we start going on these things. These are theories. They're confirmed by personal experiences, which is pretty unique. And some of the world's best minds that I'm talking with, and we're starting to put this thing together. I think our pyramid system is our free energy system, actually before Nikola Tesla and the coils. And I think it's a frequency. Again, it's not just free power, but it's a healing energy. And, you talk about the I am, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I am everywhere. Where's God? He's in the trees and the birds and each one of us. And we are all a reflection of each other's. And remember that when you're talking to somebody you don't like, because they're a reflection too. We're not the bad guy. It's not your race or your lover, or the color of your skin, or, especially Vermonters. We're the best people on earth. The bad guy is them. And there's no Democrats, Republicans. I've tested it for 5 years. I wanted to believe in the Vermont GOP, but I tested it. And I wish somebody could prove me wrong in that. When I first did the audit, again, 60 to 70% fraud, my first question is, well, how did the good guys get in? And at first I thought they gave us a couple tokens. Where if we got 7 out of 200, it's not going to make much difference anyway. But they're all bad. And some of these are personal friends of mine, family friends of mine. And, again, a lot of good people got sucked into this too, greed and corruption. And we got to kind of have, I guess, sympathy and empathy for everybody, love for everybody. There's different tiers. This last level that I'm talking about, I think, is standard corruption and greed and crime. There's some real darker, horrible, horrible rabbit holes and things that we're talking about. That's a different level. So
before we go, one last thing about the issues about Vermont's. Well, no, we've spoken enough about the dark side. We don't need to get into Vermont's abortion.
As far as people, want something to do, here's one document. Take it to your sheriff, right? The Sheriff's Association is the same. Take that to your sheriff. Here's 2 documents that say our elections were rigged, right? They're directly from the Board of Civil Authority, directly from the Secretary of State. just a coincidence that he's resigned too, right?
Mhm.
It's over, but I want you guys to do this so you can learn for yourself, so you can feel that liberation I'm talking about, because you see them run. That's so powerful for people. The last time I talked to Dick Sears, he almost got hit by a car, like jumping into traffic, right? Like you can see that. And again, that's the difference. This time I'm actually showing people live on video, and you guys can judge for yourself.
So
Pretty easy to
where are you putting it up on Telegram? Where else?
Yeah, Telegram, and I'm still on Facebook. I know a lot of old school people, especially Vermonters. It's hard to leave old habits. In fact, I had to have somebody else start my Telegram and Rumble. And honestly, I'm using more the bigger platforms, the David Mahoney TV or Michael Jacobs or Carol by Janine. I'm using them guys rather than reinvent the wheel. And that was to get Vermont on the map. I think we've done that. And then the
Good job.
same, not to say you guys aren't important, but keeping the public informed is important to me, but I'm more interested in doing. You're not going to see campaign, yard signs, or I did get some stickers. Actually, they're a hot
I have
commodity,
one.
but this is my campaign. I'm rather than argue over corrupt seats nobody wants in a rigged system, I'm just going to arrest them all. And we'll go back to arguing politics after when it's just people. And I think it's going to be a lot better that way.
Are you actually saying that the FBI is doing the right thing?
Yes, and again, we're removing them. Trudeau, there's two arresting agencies, right? There's the feds and the military that take out basically our elected officials, and then in this case, it's the Vermont State Police Bureau of Criminal Investigation Major Crimes Unit, the ones that are guarding the governor, right? They're the guys that take out. Again, in that case, it looks like they're a placeholder, but they take out our elected officials, or not our elected, our appointed or hired officials in the private sector. Okay, so Trudeau, who was the lead investigator for the Vermont State Police, told T.J. Donovan, the guy that we were investigating, that he was under investigation. That's bad, right? This is why TJ's not there anymore. Now, TJ made 3 phone calls. The first phone call was to Chief Justice Cohen. So now we're talking about the Vermont Supreme Court, highest you can go. The second phone call was Judge Carzone's in Rutland. His wife just happens to run the bar, the Vermont bar. Every attorney who ever practiced in the state of Vermont has had to give the bar an illegal kickback, right? The attorneys are going with them. And then the third one was Judge Colvin down in Bennington. And again, Judge Colvin is right in the center of all of this stuff. I mean, these are sensational stories. And likewise, the media has all of this. They've got the documents, they got the files, they got my press release, but you guys haven't heard about it yet. And that's on purpose. And just by talking and sharing these stories and these videos and this evidence, we know people are knowing. That's kind of the funny part right now. Like, we know, they know, we know, they know, and they know, we know. And like, what are we waiting for? What are you waiting for? Bring this stuff to them. Stand up for yourself and your loved ones and your children, and it's our home.
So we can find that document on your Facebook page.
You can Facebook, Telegram, Rumble.
Yeah.
Right. I'd say try to reach out personally.
Is it pinned up on Telegram? Do you have it pinned up on the thing so you can get it easily without scrolling through your timeline?
I don't actually, because these things are so, it sounds funny for me to say this. These are actually pretty minor compared to the stuff that I'm dealing with now.
And that's why you're having to move around a lot, so that you are, they're not following.
Right. My last car, I mean, they slashed 5 tires. They broke my hood latch when I disabled my power steering. They cut my brake lines. Finally pried open my gas tank and filled something in the tank, so it disabled that. The next car, they cut all the wires in front, my lights and horn, and like all this, and not to mention the threats and intimidation. I left more for the people around me, to be honest. I mean, I'm a big 2A guy, so I'm always armed, and I'm not really I can defend myself, I guess is what I'm saying, but the intimidation and the harassment and everything we were just talking about that we really can't do nothing about, right? Who are you going to tell? Anybody seen Chad? Am I supposed to tell my sheriff? You're kind of stuck here. So the good news is we just got a little bit longer. If you guys can hang on and we can survive, this is coming. It's actually happening. You just got to look really close to see it. So
can you email me that paper, because
sure.
we would have, so that we can download it and do exactly that and go to our
Yeah,
sheriff, and
it's
that'll be
it's
easier.
literally I just some of these things I was just talking about the other day with Chad, but I can. Yeah, I can email you again. Pick a subject, pick one of your favorite politicians. And if you guys want to know how to do this, literally pick whoever your favorite is and go see what boards he sits on, because that's important. They brag about it, right? And then see who sits on those boards with them and what other boards they share, and the dots are connected. The same with the election fraud. This is so easy, but nobody looks. They count on us not looking. You know, we got a pocket park in Bennington. It's 25 by 30. It cost us $100,000. I can sit on one of the benches and Google the bench, and I can have it delivered tomorrow for $300. We paid $3,000 as taxpayers, and there's three of them, right? And again, that's whether it's the $56 million Putnam block or the $70 million Welcome Center in Bennington. That's one town. And you can say the same for Burlington, St. Albans, and all these places. The bigger the town, the more corruption. But they're all going, it's every elected official. That's such a statement. I'm telling you, they're all going to jail.
Is Chad Schmidt, you said he's been missing for 3 years. Is it missing because he went left, or because he's missing as far as duties?
Yeah, he hasn't been in his place. In fact, the latest theory and what they said is, you know, he moved to Tennessee,
Right.
which he's an elected official. You don't just move to Tennessee. But his family, I mean, basically he talked to save his wife and kids, and they are moving to Tennessee. You know, she got a divorce and filed, and you know, it's almost sad. Again, I have sympathy and compassion, but I think Chad's a dirty guy, and I think, you know, what I'm hearing, and I can't confirm this, is he took a plea deal for 3 to 5 years, which is nothing for what I know. But I think he gave up the world to do that. Right in Bennington alone, we got Judge Calvin, Judge Mook, Judge Sundag, Judge Carzones. No, it's Rutland. Judge Scanlon. You know, we got our Bennington County prosecutor, Erica Marthridge. That goes up the ladder to TJ. But what's that do to the judicial system?
Kills it.
I think every person in jail has a bitch to get out of jail. Like, I don't know what this is unprecedented. We've never done this before, guys. This is like nobody knows. I can't tell you what's going to happen. And that's the scary part, but this is what we wanted. So go with it. Let it go. Try to let go of the fear. Stay in that high vibration. Smile, live, love, laugh, expose it. Right. But yeah, don't lose sight of who you are. That's very important. I think that's a problem. And like, we forgot we were Vermonters. We can do this. When I say I'm just a deer hunter, I'm proud of that. But what I mean is I'm an average guy. I'm a regular dude, just like everybody here. If I can do this, I mean, a chimp could, honestly. You guys can do this too, and you're already doing it. So by talking and coordinating and finding different ideas, we'll get it done. It's happening so fast now. Go ahead, you want to talk? I'm taking over the whole show. I'm sorry.
Oh, we wanted you to.
That's the idea.
That was the whole
Okay.
idea.
That's the plan.
Well, I want to educate, and again, this isn't about me. The last thing I want, and I mean this so sincere, is a pedestal. I am an average guy, and we all have roles in this. And again, you know, if you ask a car who's in charge, the steering wheel says, that's me. But the truth is, we don't get anywhere without the left tire, and the bolt that's holding on that left tire, well, that's pretty important too, right? And we all got these components and pieces, and we all have our expertises, and we've experiences is what this is about. So if you put your piece on the table, it fills it in for other people. And then you find they've put their piece too. And we start to build our own truth. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, we've been lied to on such an epic level. It's hard. It's easy to lie to somebody, but it's real hard to convince them they've been lied to, especially on this degree, our entire history, right? Our entire human history, where we come from, where we go. I mean, it is biblical. And again, it's off the hook, but let's have these conversations, all these taboo conversations we couldn't talk about before. When you find scandals and evidence, you take it to your officials. So that's what we should do.
It seems like
Go ahead.
it seems like just you like saying to the right official, I got this and this and this, and here are the dot connectings. and then that like just does the job. And it's like these guys, it's like they go, oh, somebody knows the truth, and they go down to Tennessee or whatnot. Just it's
Right.
seems like that does
Our
it.
town clerk, Cassandra Barbow, right? She just got her real estate license in Vermont. They had a big article last year in the Bennington Banner about it. We just voted her a raise, right? All these other things. She's moving to the Carolinas. Just a happenstance, right? And again, 43 and counting. And every day I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, more stuff. And but you got to look for it because they're not telling you this stuff.
Right.
You know, we started the nighttime military training exercises in Burlington again a couple months ago, right? They're not training. It's all a big bluff. So television's not real. Like I said, we tell our kids that. We really do. All the numbers that we've been told, and it doesn't matter what we're talking about, don't believe any of it. Unfortunately, when we hear information from the TV or a teacher or a politician or whoever it is, we take it as a conclusion, and it's not a conclusion. It's still just information. We should be looking at that and debunking it, just like all the stuff I'm spilling here tonight. You guys should check me, and I'll give you the links. I'll give you the direction to go in, and I hope you check me. I think you come to the same conclusion once you get all the information. So I appreciate you guys having me, and you know, love and peace.
Yeah.
Love's the key here. Education too. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Erickson.
Go
You
ahead.
have one
I
more
was
thing?
just going to
So
say,
go on.
before we leave, I'd like you to make a comment toward the end of just before we leave, Jim. And so, Erickson, go ahead.
Do you want?
My only comment is weaponized love, where you have people with their signs checking off every like NPR talking point on their lawn, you know. So it's like weaponized love, and these people think they're actually going to heaven for pushing these Agenda 2030 agendas. And what would you say to like say, hey, your heart is in the right place, but you're deceived and you're working for the dark side.
But you're a useful idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and believe it or not, that's what you want to say. But my suggestion is to not do that.
Well,
Right.
I just had this opportunity yesterday swimming, and it was someone who was talking. We had a really interesting conversation, and then it began to suss out, you know, that he was a Democrat and a progressive, and he thought everybody at the January 6th ought to go to jail forever, and you know, all this stuff.
We were down there, weren't we?
Yeah. So I just moved the conversation to the problem of othering. You know, the problem that we can solve, which is allowing the media to make us other each other, and to find that, you know, we all love puppies.
More division.
Right. And that's something we can do with everybody, and not even reveal which side we're on. We can say, look, we've got to consider everybody, and we've got to care for everybody. And that's a real simple thing to do without.
Aren't you feeling that now too? I am. I'm feeling the love no matter where I go. And this is happening, and it's increasing. And again, that's how we fight it. If you argument over a parking place, right? Let's just throw that out there. Again, instant conflict. Hey, I was here, I was waiting, whatever. If you just hit that with, hey man, it's my bad, I didn't see you there, you can have this one, you walk away. You're throwing love at that, and it's instantly diffused. And presentation is important. And the same thing. I mean, if we're going to criticize everybody that's been fooled by this system, right? That's all of us. I'm fooled, right? I never participated. I wasn't active. I didn't even vote regularly. I allowed this to happen, to be honest. And every one of us, we fell for the biggest con in human history, done by professional con artists, not only over our lifetime, but generations. I mean, that's, like I said, the lie here is at an epic level, but we're winning, we're waking up. There's billions of us now. You know, that's more lies. We've never been more divided. We've never been more together. 80% of the world agrees and knows something's up. That's never happened. Probably never happened again, right? And they want you to feel like you're isolated. You're the only person in Vermont that thinks like this. You're the only one. And think about that setup too, what they've been doing to people. So try to rise above it. in regards to, confronting people, people love my videos with confrontation, but I'm going up against bad guys, and I know they're bad guys for the most part. But you can do it with respect. You can do it with love. You can do it with a smile. I mean, that's great. In fact, you really want to get to them. Smile at them while you're talking. It drives them nuts. You can see the veins in their temple, bulging and stuff. So you just maintain your composure. And what I would recommend is staying away from bad subjects. I showed up at a BLM rally wearing a MAGA hat and carrying an American flag and a 357. People want to instantly argue with me. And what I found is within a couple sentences, I turned them around because I was respectful. I tried to listen. I didn't get mad and I didn't do that instant fighting. So, and most people are people. Like we all just want, to better ourselves and make for our families. And most of us just want to be left alone, right? We like to keep a little of our money and our rights and freedoms. And right, it is about love. In general, people are really good, except Vermonters are the best. So just, remember all you can control is you. So do the best you, and in the service of others, I think is important to do the right thing. We're going to be okay.
Let's take it out. Erickson, you want to take out the show?
Well, Brigham asked me for
we got something from Jim.
Final comment.
Right, let's do another.
Good. I agreeing with what you basically said about how good Vermonters think they are, at least, and how they try to be good. They are the most susceptible people almost on the planet to the psychology of totalitarianism, judging from the way they exclude you from restaurant. They did last couple of years, excluded you from shopping, excluded you from restaurants, excluded you from schools, excluded you from churches. These were good people. They were hypnotized into this. And I think one of the most brilliant ways I've heard of to break into it happened because of Roe v. Wade. Whereas people came out of the woodwork with, oh my God, this is horrible. We've lost control of our bodies. Oh, so that means that we don't have to get vaccinated if we don't want to, right? That's our body, that's control. And they just, well, I don't really. So that means that somehow or another, you might have gotten a little bit into that rat's nest they have up there and maybe break it down a little bit. And they might begin to think about something. At least some of them will begin to think about something if they're capable. So I don't have much faith in humanity because I know the history of totalitarianism. I know where it's gone, from the church to fascism, to communism, to whatever ism you want. People fall into that in a mass formation. But I'm so aware of that, and I'm writing a review about the book now, that I have some perspective on how to deal with people, and I'm getting much better at it the older that I get. And like Emily said, and I think we've all agreed tonight, there's probably a way in to maybe get some of these people to start thinking that isn't controversial, that isn't demeaning, as tempting as it is to be controversial and demeaning. I find that there are maybe better ways to do it.
These are
so thank you,
passionate
Brigham.
subjects.
You're welcome.
Right. I want to kind of respond to that. I just stopped at a abortion rally in Rutland, right, on my way up north. And again, abortion is healthcare. That sign bothered me. So I pulled over. And I just wanted, again, I didn't go there to confront anybody. I started with like, who among us is pro-infanticide, right? Right? And then again, I don't want to take away anybody's rights.
Nobody.
But are you good with full-term abortions?
Yeah.
And the woman said, well, I never said that. And I'm like, well, you're holding a sign that says, you think I should pay for it? Not only are you saying that, right? But the long and short of that is 90% of the people at that rally didn't know what they were talking about. They didn't want to talk.
That's right.
They didn't want to do anything. But what was new is, 6 or 8 of them did talk, right? And we started to break it down. And again, this is a personal decision. I love abortion, and that's a whole other another whole show, right? I love the topic because you can't make anybody happy in it, but this is common sense, right? I don't think anybody is pro-infanticide. In fact, the terms, is anybody anti-choice or anti-life? You know anybody that's anti-life
No,
or
no, the
anti-choice?
word is
That's
infanticide.
it's
It's infanticide.
right. Okay, when we kill after they're born, right?
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
we
okay.
now have in place that they can be killed at full
I kn-
term.
I know, I know. But again, the point there is that's another divider.
Yeah.
It
The
is.
the truth is the people who go to the extremes, and by the way, all the people that were in Rutland are the same people at the Bennington rallies. They're bussed around by Planned Parenthood. They're the ones that are behind that. So then we started talking about Planned Parenthood and what they do and how they're getting paid not only for organs, but again, darker places there. So I think you try to avoid conflicts and try to find, places that you can agree. I don't know anybody that's pro, full term. Honestly, that's a horrible. And the
Yeah.
reasons they're doing it, if people knew, education
Yeah.
is
So
a big
we
part
should
of it.
put this in here now because it's going out because of Prop 5 because the unintended consequences of that would be horrific in that a pimp, for example, would have the right to challenge a somebody that he got pregnant, that she would have to go to full term. Then they can take that child and they
Right.
can either sell them or they can abort
Leave
them
it. I
for
know.
parts, and it's beyond cruelty, it's beyond horrific, it's beyond humanity. So these
Agree.
unintended consequences of Prop 5, we don't want to say that that's the intended consequences of the people who put it forward, but certainly if you're watching this, do think about voting no.
Right. It's optics, is what that is. That's made to wake people up and to provoke you guys, hopefully, into action,
Hmm.
right? And again, as much as I don't want to discourage anybody from voting. The only way we fix this is voting. The only way we catch them cheating is voting. Well, until we back up and fix a broken system, there's no more elections, guys. We never had elections. The big red pill here is your whole life's been a lie. Your vote
Right.
doesn't count, and you're not really free. Oh, by the way, the U.S. is probably one of the biggest bad guys, right? That's hard for people to take, man. Hard for me to take. And when I say the U.S., I don't mean the people. Americans are awesome. Again, it's not us; it's our government, and that's what we're learning. So, uh, I think we got to protest. And again, my suggestion is for people to take this to your leaders, like you're supposed to do. Go ask them literally in person. If they won't ask or reply, find them on the street, find them when they're out to dinner, find them when they're walking, find them in a rally like I do, right? We're having a pig roast with David
On the
Zuckerman, right? How
24th,
cool
yeah.
is that? It's on David. Even if you can't make it to this pig roast, RSVP, it's free and it'll make David sweat, right? And while you're logging on to do that, note that it's through Act Blue. That's BLM. Like all any of that money went to help minority families or people. It went to
Huh.
Bernie Sanders and people like David Zuckerman. So make sure you're paying attention. But I suggest everybody RSVP for that party, and if you can make it, it's free food, right? We're having pigs, and he asked for a donation. If you think he deserves it and he hasn't stolen enough of your money, you can donate whatever level you want to. But it's illegal for him to charge. So this is free. It's open to the public, and it's a political venue. So go tell your politician, go tell your candidate for lieutenant governor what you think of green energy. Ask them about illegal PPPs and shell companies and pedophile symbols and all the election fraud. And, you know, again, there's more than
Maybe,
enough content. Go ask them.
maybe we'll all show up there.
I think that'd be
Yeah,
great. I'd love to
so
see 1,000
I'd
people.
like to just attend. Yeah.
I would
There you
too.
go. You can go to David Zuckerman's page himself. And again, it's RSVP. You have to RSVP to get a ticket. I already got mine, but I picked the free route, right? You don't have to donate. There's all sorts of different levels. You can put your farm up and whatever you want if you want to give him more money, but that scares me. He's got enough of mine. None of them are getting any more of my money.
Mhm.
So that's my.
Not mine.
Well, I love you guys. Thanks for having me, and thanks for your stand. I see your stand too, and this is why it's going to be all right. By the way, this comes down to us helping each other, And Vermonters are so good at that.
Yeah.
Like we got this. We're going to be okay in the long run, no matter what happens. So stay safe and stay standing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Erickson's going to shut us off.
You're going to close us out, Erickson?
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Brigham. Thank you, Emily. And thanks everybody for watching that hopefully sees this. It's wow, just like packed full of great stuff to research and a full plate. Thank you very much for serving that dish, Kevin.
No problem. It's my honor. Honestly, I'm so proud. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.